Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, Mysterious Cameraman, and today, after 2 years, it is time to finally review Spider-Man Lotus. So before we get into the video, a few things to say. First, as some of you know, I was on a bit of a break, and I have a lot of videos to catch up on. So for those who are curious, today's Lotus. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing the Flash Season 2 fan series talk. Next day I'm doing Menacing Studios talk. I have Spider-Gwen trailer reaction, the Way of the Fist fan film or something, Amazing Spider-Man something. I have a lot coming up, and I have a lot, but I'm so excited to do a review on this. This is going to be very surface level. This is going to be going a bit into it. It's going to not be so deep, but not like nothing either. And then eventually later, in like a week or so, I'm going to do a full in-depth, really deep review once I watch it again. This is like my first review. Before we get into it, if you haven't already seen the official trailer from my own fan film, Captain America the Taskmaster Trials, it's on my channel now. And besides that, let's get into it. Alrighty. This film, I've been looking forward to for so long, and I'm so happy it finally came out. The opening, first off, I want to say I did enjoy it. I'm going to kind of just go through the whole film and kind of talk about my thoughts on it. The opening fight, that whole shocker part, I loved. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole film. I loved everything about the shocker fight and everything of that nature. I thought that was really done so well. And even though that was one fight, it was such a well done first fight. And I thought that was really good and really enjoyable. And I think the choreography was so well done in that scene. The CGI was so well done. And that scene was really genuinely good looking. Moving on from Shocker, I think that's the only thing. I think we can really just go talk about the film. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was not as good as I thought it would be, though. There was one big thing that stuck out to me that I did not enjoy. This was really well written. It was deep, it was dark, and it focused on Gwen Stacy's death. And then eventually, Tim Harris, that's his name, right? Something like that. The kid, he was really good in it, by the way. He was amazing. And then when he died, that part. And it was really interesting. And I did like the dialogue in those scenes of death. I felt like the dialogue scenes really lingered. They were going on for like 5-6 minutes for dialogue. And it felt like they didn't want to let go of a scene that should have ended. Like they really want to draw out every scene to its max. And they did not have to do that. Adding on, there was no real antagonist. There was the Green Goblin in the flashbacks. But following the flashbacks, after Gwen's death, there was no antagonist to the film besides his grief. And is that an interesting idea to play with? Yes. But it doesn't make the film interesting. It does make it interesting that there's his death and his grief, but it doesn't build to anything. It builds to him kind of getting over the grief, which is good, but it's not a Spider-Man film. It's a Peter Parker film, which could be good, but it's not even a Peter Parker film. This is kind of just a kid drama, and it's not a well-done kid drama, because it still wants to be a Spider-Man film. I personally think that this film needed an antagonist, because without an antagonist, there's nothing that it's building to. And maybe it's interesting to have a fan film that builds, like, death and things like that. And I agree with that. I think it's a really interesting idea. But I think that could have been so much better done if there was also some sort of antagonistic force that mimicked that. If you wanted to go with Green Goblin, great. If you wanted to go something different like Nightmare or even Death, the character. Having Spider-Man fight someone while also having to get over his grief would be such if we took all the dialogue, all the building from Spider-Man Lotus, cut down the dialogue scenes a bit, and then added, like, a villain. Added, like, one fight, and then the final battle. That would have been so well done. I think that without that antagonist, it doesn't make the film interesting. I think the film loses a lot of its interest without, like, part of it is, I love all the dialogue, I love all the talking, I love all of that. But there is no, like, yeah, he gets over it and all, but then we don't see Spider-Man and be Spider-Man. We see him swing. But, like, I would have loved to see Spider-Man fight a big villain as part of the finale. Kind of have him, like, fight and really have it be interesting. And I love the idea of it being, like, a more Peter Parker, less than, like, that and stuff. But it doesn't make it interesting. It takes away from the film, from the fact that it doesn't add more fighting. And, yes, but you could maybe you can say, like, hey, I want this to be more spiritual, and I get that. But then you could also make it literally literal in a fight. And I don't feel like, I feel like all that dialogue doesn't build to much. I think if you had all that, had everything in the film, and it had to build with this villain, and Spider-Man had to accept that, and then use his acceptance and then beat the villain, that would have been so satisfying. But for some reason, they didn't go for that. And I don't see why that happened. Also, that opening title sequence was absolutely insane. That opening titles was like all the comic strips and stuff. That was crazy. Here's what they should have done. That's how the film should have. That's not how the film should have opened. I think the Shocker fight, if they did not have the time to film the final fight, they should have removed the Shocker fight and instead have the main villain. Because yes, you can say, like, oh my god, there's Shocker, and the Shocker fight is awesome. But there's also no... If the Shocker fight was at the end, that would have been an awesome finale. But there's no ending thing. There's nothing that ends the film that makes the ending interesting. The film begins, and then that's kind of where it stays. And it has all the dialogue, but there's no real antagonistic force. And I think it could work if done well, but I think the film suffers from the fact that there isn't. What am I doing now? I'm actually looking. I got a copy. I looked on Reddit and found a Lotus script. Currently reading through it. Someone else is on it. Damn. I think this is officially the script. Like, I think this is the... Yeah, this is it. Like, I think it's really interesting. Like, I do like how they did it. But they need... Sorry. I'm so sick right now. They needed to have some sort of antagonist force. And I think the film suffers from them not. And I'm really sorry. I don't want to say it. It hurts me to say it. But I know I'm, like, really, like, pushing this point. But I think they needed to have some sort of big villain. And I think it's really good the way it is. But I think it could have been so much better if they could make it literal. Because right now, the film is super good, but it's also kind of boring. Those scenes linger and linger and linger. And it teaches you about death. It does. But they draw it out to a conclusion, but we don't see so much payoff to it. We don't see the Spider-Man part. And that's the part I'm really trying to hit. If you're making a Spider-Man fan film, you have to have Spider-Man payoff. And this film does not have that. It has just payoff. And to something that doesn't relate to Spider-Man. They should have had a villain that Peter had to fight. Let's go into the 6 points. Directing, absolutely insane. The shots in this are really crazy, and that you can't deny that. That's sure. The editing. CGI in this is honestly pretty good. I really like a lot of the shots in this. Acting is also really good. I really like the acting in this. It's the story where I feel like this fails. I don't think there's an overall story. I think this is kind of just it's a death. There isn't a plot, really. It's too much character development. The choreography in this is insane. That Green Goblin fight, like the final fight between the Green Goblin and Peter, in like the middle of the film, that was the best fight in the whole film, and that was crazy. Like, that fight was one of the best fan film fights I've ever seen. Like, they can clearly do good choreography. This is one of the best looking fan films I've ever seen. It's just that they don't do it. Like, they don't use their things well. Music in this is great. Here's what we can take away. This does everything amazing. It has some of the best looking fight scenes, some of the best looking suits. This looks like a real movie. Here's the issue. They don't have a villain to look through. They kind of just have a plot, and that's where it ends. And it pains me to say it, but that is what hurts and kills the film. Besides that, that is really my thoughts on it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already seen the official trailer for my own fan film, Captain America the Taskmaster Trials, it's on my channel now. Besides that, we will be doing another review on this at some point when I see it a second time. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.